the DCU Batman? There's been 2 Batman news going on.
Batman Reeves, the epic crime saga.
Batman Reeves.
Yes.
Reeves, let's just get a photo of Batman in here so that way people know
The
what we're talking
Pattinson
about.
and the DCU Batman.
Which part of the of this Batman news do you want to talk about first? The fact that they might be actually getting a new director for Batman the Brave and the Bold?
Hadn't heard that, honestly.
Yeah, the big discussion is that they might be getting a new director for that.
Okay. I guess we'll start there because I hadn't heard it.
Well, that's the news, Coy.
Oh, it's been covered. No rumors, no reason why.
I kind of want Andy Muschietti to do it.
Okay.
I do, because
I love him.
I love Andy Muschietti's work. I know The Flash did not get the response that people were hoping for. But there was something about the way James Gunn responded to Andy Muschietti's work in that. I'm going to put the camera on me now, Coy.
Yeah, do
The
it.
reason why I'm excited for Muschietti to still continue doing this film, or why I would want him to, is because of what James Gunn saw in him for The Flash. This could have just been James Gunn being, CEO dude of DC Universe, being like, The Flash is a great movie, guys. You should go watch it. It's amazing. James Gunn is the kind of producer similar to how I feel like about Quentin Tarantino, where they often have strange opinions about other people's work, and whether it be something they like or dislike, it can be kind of weird and odd, but then you watch their films and you're like, but they're great filmmakers. And that maybe that's those weird idiosyncrasies, you know the word, that they're going for, that they're able to see something different. And James Gunn was not an active producer on The Flash. So I feel like if he is a creative producer on Batman the Brave and the Bold while working with Andy Muschietti, I feel like that could be something really special and be the thing that James Gunn was actually feeling and seeing
In The Flash,
when
the pieces
was
he
watching
saw.
The Flash.
I see what you're saying. Like, he saw the jigsaw pieces that he saw, and now he sees a vision in his vision.
Yes, exactly.
His mental collaboration.
Yeah.
I think Muschietti is a really fantastic director that had a lot of things that people aren't considering when they look at The Flash. He was the 7th director on that movie. I think Ezra Miller was cast the same year as Grant Gustin. It was that long of a pre-production on The Flash. So, if you look at the entire series of The Flash that got made while the Flash movie went in and out of production hell, it had a ton of writers. Then you look at things like It, and you look at, I think Derry's going to be a great show. I do think Andy Muschietti has a vision for Batman that James Gunn likes. I don't know if that is solid enough to talk about, though, because James Gunn has made it very clear until a script is done, they're not going to move forward with things. So I think there's a conflict of a conversation where when Muschietti said there are delays, and then James Gunn said, no, there aren't, I think that's just a matter of perspective of what Muschietti thought was a timeline wasn't an official timeline. So James Gunn's like, no, we just need the script to be done, and then we'll figure it out. I don't think they're rushing Batman, and I think that's the best thing. I think the power of having 2 Batman is you can have this crime saga that's already moving and grooving with Penguin and the Batman, and that can come out in 2 years. And then you can figure out what you want from this new DCU Batman, who's already going to be sprinkled throughout as far as we got a Flash film Creature Commandos. We know we're getting a Clayface. I don't mind if we meet the Batman as a cameo in Clayface, if it means we can take our time to get the right Batman, which is an entire world built around a new DCU Gotham where it actually makes sense for a dog like Crypto to exist. That, to me, is worth whatever patience is required. I don't plan to die in the next 10 years. I hope I don't. I want to be here to watch the right Batman while still getting our awesome Detective Batman. Personally, I don't see the Pattinson working in the DCU. If they prove me wrong, I'll be happy to be like, oh, I was wrong. This is great. But until then, I want a DCU Batman that feels like the comics so we can have a Detective Batman that feels like a Fincher film.
I'm going to keep putting this out there to the universe, Coy.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing some bullshit going around.
Okay. On the internet?
I'm seeing some bullshit going around about this Josh Brolin dark side shit. Have you been seeing that?
Yeah, Brolin posting it was a can of worms. But that man's also a troll. I love the idea, because in a fun way. I love Brolin's sense of humor. He could have been like, hey.
Well, Brolin, you need to be the DCU Batman.
Why he posted dark side photos, Batman?
Coy and I'm still, every time I have a Dark Knight Returns collectible over there. And every time I see it, I just think of Josh Brolin, every single time. How does this this looks like Josh Brolin to me? I don't know. Does this look like Josh Brolin?
It does. I don't disagree.
And he's got the acting chops and the build. He should be he should be Batman in the Batman Brave and the Bold. And I think if you have an older one, that makes it easy to distinguish it.
I also think have a very comic one that fits in the cosmic stuff, and then a very grounded one. And like, I think Brolin could have fun playing a big, larger than life comic character.
Yeah.
Like whoever they cast, I just want that to be a very distinct difference than the very grounded noir Pattinson.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had a very interesting conversation with someone at the
Josh Brolin?
At the gym. At the Josh Brolin. And he was asking me, do you think that his name's Hans, by the way. Such an interesting. I've never met a guy named
Gruber?
Hans. Yeah, right. And
It's this time of year.
he was asking me, do you think it's too much Batman if you're going to be having the Batman multiverse, Batman movies, and then you're going to be having a DCU Batman? Don't you think that would confuse people? I'm like, well, actually, I feel like if you want to start doing your Elseworlds stuff, you should do it with a huge character.
Like the Batman.
That way people can easily distinguish it so they can comprehend for people who like live in Minnesota or something,
that aren't in this world.
Yeah, those random people who are like, wait a minute. That way they get it is easier to go, okay, this must be a completely separate thing.
Yeah.
They have to be able to distinguish. And I feel like when you do that let's say you did that with Clayface, it might not be as clear because this is your debut of Clayface. But with something like Batman, you'll be able to really like, okay, that's definitely something else that is not connected to this because we got an older Batman here in the form of Josh Brolin. And then we got Twilight over here,
Was anyone confused in The Flash that Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton were both in it? Was anyone like, what does it mean?
I feel like there's probably people who are not following this stuff who are like, huh?
Maybe.
When you see maybe the trailers made it clear. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about. Like, I feel like the idea of two different movie storylines isn't that confusing.
Yeah.
But
I know
but we're so invested.
But, I'm talking about if you go to like the Midwest.
Yeah, like I can't not know this stuff and imagine what it's like to watch.
I care about tending to the markets that studios don't care as much to tend to.
That's important.
But there's a big market there.
Absolutely. And those people's opinions are 100% valid. I can't remove all of the data I have to wonder what it's like.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I can't imagine not knowing every detail of movie news.
There's one more part of the Batman news that I do want to talk about. Let me just get an image here. So, Matt Reeves.
Yes.
He's saying there's going to be a surprise villain in here.
I saw that.
Who do you think that villain?
Court of Owls.
You think that's a surprise?
I
feel like I thought everyone thought it was.
It ties directly into our conversation.
What do you mean?
The people that know about even who the Court of Owls are the 5% that watch Real Reject. Like our niche audience.
That is true.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you're just a casual mom watching the Golden Globes and Matt Reeves like Batman's got a surprising villain, and then you find out the entire city is corrupt and they're this occult organization that's like the Illuminati meets like the Crazy Eyes Wide Shut. Like that's a surprise villain. When you say a surprise villain, then it's like, oh my God, the Joker. Like it's I think a surprise to the people that don't follow this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it could still be Court of Owls and he's like misleading, or it could be ventriloquist.
What do you think about that? The way he responded, though, that the thing that was going around, I was like, oh, I even had the moment about it when he was saying that. When he was asked about the future of the Batman and if he could cross over into their main DCU timeline, and he said, I want to get that exact
Felt like
quote.
Quality diplomacy. I don't think...
Normally he's been... I feel like he's been pretty direct about it.
He was very polite. And he was like, if it makes sense and works, yeah. But like, it did not feel like that's what he's going for. To me, it felt very much like, hey, if someone can present a story, I'm not closed-minded. I love this. But it's also, I am an organized crime saga like that I've mapped out.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw that off. To me, it felt like I'm doing this over here. If someone presents a crazy idea that somehow makes this work, I'm not going to be la, 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 la. It's kind of like me with Downey as Doom. I'm like, I don't love that idea, but I'm open to it. Like, show me, and maybe we'll talk.
Okay.
To me, that quote felt very much like I am playing in the DC comics universe. If we find a way to make this one the DCU, let's talk about it. But for now, I'm focused on the Batman 2. I'm making the best Batman 2 I can, and that's where my head's at.
How are you feeling about the impatience on the sequel? I've seen you kind of get flack on it on Christian's channel.
Yeah.
It was the first time I saw it because, James Gunn, he came out and was saying, back then sequels would take like many years to come out. And yeah, that was back then. And while Avatar was a massive sensation, and that was one of the biggest gaps in recent time.
13 years.
13 years. I think there is a conversation to be had about how culture has changed the sequel game in the last like decade or so.
We need to change it back.
We're still,
Let's stop catering to TikTok ADD kids.
I mean, we're still from a time where we've seen the sequel trajectory go. There was a time where sequels were special. They didn't come out all the time. Usually, it seems like they were in the form of low budget action
Direct
or
to
horror
DVD,
movies.
Walmart,
You know,
like-
yeah. Not even Disney used to do their animated sequels direct to DVD. And then we reached this point. I don't know when this happened, but suddenly we started getting sequels all the time.
As a default,
and
almost.
they started making movies to make the sequel.
Yeah, it's a franchise
I do
mentality.
think MCU had it kind of like
Huge.
affected that. I feel like it's okay to wait for this long for the Batman too, and that's why you shouldn't have Robert Pattinson become the DCU Batman, because there is a specialty. I mean, look what they're doing with crafting and taking their time. Colin Farrell just won. He's the first one who's not Joker to win some type of like monumental award for acting, you know?
Yeah, and
It's
it
incredible.
earned. Also, we just had something in this universe this year. Let 2 years go by. I don't think, like, the impatience drives me insane when the quality is that good. In my opinion, The Batman is one of the best comic book movies ever made. I will wait as long as it takes to get that caliber of a sequel. And if you don't like The Batman, just don't wait. Just don't. It's not for you. Like, so many people are like, I don't need a Batman anyway. Then wait for the DCU Batman.
Yeah.
That's the power, I think, of this, is we get our cake and eat it too. We get a comic-y Batman. We get a detective Batman, like noirish Batman. I say take all the time you need. And Matt Reeves, I don't know what is going on, but he was like, this year's been hard. Like, we've been dealing with a lot of stuff. Let the man live his life while making you this art. Do not rush art for the sake of product.
Yeah.
We make so many products. We make so much content. Let the man make art and not an Amazon series.
It's a weird culture when it comes to sequels because people complain about movies being rushed, lack of quality in films, not giving enough time for visual effects. Then you got something
But
like
tomorrow, really.
yeah. Then you got something like the Batman Part 2, which is not. When you think about it, it's really not that long of a time to develop something. It's not for a proper sequel on something that scale. Like the first Batman was like wasn't it a 3-hour movie?
Yeah.
It was like a 3-hour film.
And like developed over many years, and this one is getting its due, and we're also getting stuff in between, like the Penguin. I literally don't understand.
Yeah, I feel like they might actually make this more special that way, because with a sequel you want to go bigger, but you also want to tell a better story, and you need that time.
I think so.
Yeah,
I don't understand,
Yeah.
man. I want a good follow-up when we get it. I also want more shows. I want this universe to be rich and lived in and built out, not hurrying to the next property.